If you could control one thing that instantly disarms manipulators, breaks egos, and silently raises your value in any room, would you use it? The most ruthless power in modern life is not what you say, but what and who you completely ignore. In this video, we are diving into Machiavelli-inspired dark psychology to show you how strategic ignoring can protect your mind, command respect, and transform your entire social reality. Let's start with a hard truth. In 2024, attention is the real currency. Not money, not status. Attention. Whoever controls where their attention goes, and who receives none of it, has the upper hand. Most people live like slaves to notifications, comments, insults, drama, and other people's moods. One message and their whole emotional state collapses. One rude comment and they're consumed for hours. This is the mindset of someone who has zero control over their own internal world. Machiavelli's entire philosophy is built on one cold observation. People are driven by self-interest, ego, and appearances. Today, ego and self-interest feed on attention. When you react, when you argue, when you defend yourself, when you chase, you are feeding somebody's ego. You are giving them power. Here's the paradox. The more emotionally reactive you are, the easier you are to control. The more selectively you ignore, the harder it is to move you, manipulate you, or break you. Psychology backs this up. Being ignored triggers the same brain regions as physical pain. That's how powerful it is. Social exclusion activates the anterior cingulate cortex, the pain area. This is why being left unseen, being cut off, or being given silence hurts so much. And that is exactly why learning the ethical art of ignoring is so powerful. But there's a crucial difference you must understand. Ignoring as punishment equals toxic silent treatment, emotional abuse. Ignoring as protection equals healthy boundaries, self-respect. Ignoring as strategy equals controlling your reactions to protect your time, energy, and goals. In this video, we are not glorifying emotional abuse. We're talking about something Machiavellian in a disciplined way. The ability to decide who gets your mental space and who gets absolutely nothing. Think about how you've been trained since childhood. Respond when spoken to. Don't be rude. Explain yourself. Defend yourself when attacked. All of that conditioning creates people who are terrified of being seen as rude, cold, or selfish. And manipulators weaponize that. They know all they need to do is poke you, guilt trip you, or insult you, and you'll start dancing for them. You'll start explaining, justifying, apologizing, chasing, arguing. Machiavelli would say, that's weakness. Power is not screaming louder. Power is not needing to speak at all. Power is to completely withhold what others crave most from you, your reaction. Let's define what the art of ignoring really is in this dark psychology context. Emotional non-response. You feel a trigger, but you do not show it. No facial expression, no long text, no rant, no explanation. Selective detachment. You consciously choose which people and situations do not deserve a place in your thoughts. Attention control. You treat your attention like a king treats his time. Rare, expensive, and not freely given. Boundary through silence. When words don't work anymore, you let absence speak for you. Machiavelli wrote, everyone sees what you appear to be, few really know what you are. Ignoring is about mastering what you appear to be. Unbothered, hard to move, impossible to bait. And the less you react, the less people can read you, predict you, or manipulate you. Here is a mindset shift to tattoo into your brain. The person who needs to talk, explain, defend, and respond is weaker. The person who can walk away, stay silent, and ignore controls the frame. Ignoring is not about pretending you don't care. It is about mastering yourself to the point where your care is invisible, unreadable, and unreachable to the wrong people. At the end of this first segment, ask yourself, who has been living rent-free in your mind? Whose opinion still controls your mood? Who have you been feeding with constant reactions, arguments, and explanations? Because in the next segment, we are going to move from theory to real life. You'll see how to apply this Machiavellian art of ignoring in daily situations. At work, online, in your friendships, and with the people who drain you the most. To use ignoring as power, you have to stop treating your attention like tap water and start treating it like gold. That begins with a simple framework, your attention budget. Imagine 3 circles. Inner circle, your health, mission, goals, real friends, family you truly care about. Middle circle, colleagues, acquaintances, classmates, casual connections, social media audience. Outer circle, Strangers, trolls, haters, manipulators, random opinions, drama, gossip. Most people reverse this. They give the outer circle the loudest reaction, arguing with strangers, obsessing over haters, overthinking what someone online said. That is exactly what weakens you. First Machiavellian rule of ignoring. If someone is not in your inner or, at most, middle circle, they have no automatic right to your reply. Let's walk through some everyday scenarios. 1. Online insults and comments. Somebody comments, "You're stupid. You've changed. This is cringe." A normal, untrained mind feels an instant urge to respond, defend, prove them wrong. Dark psychology reality. That person just hooked you. They now control your thoughts. You carry them with you for hours. Here's your new rule. If the person is in your outer circle and not giving you respectful, constructive feedback, they are invisible to you. No reply. No like. No story about them to your friends. No mental replay. You starve them. They came for food. Your emotional reaction. You give them a plate of nothing. 2. Gossip and drama at work or school. Someone says, "Hey, did you hear what she said about you?" This is bait. This is how small people drag you into their small world. Your old self. What did she say? Tell me. Your new, Machiavellian self. Not interested. I've got other things to focus on. You don't ask for details. You don't go investigate. You ignore the invitation to step into the mud. You instantly send a message, "My attention is too expensive for this." 3. The ex who randomly messages you out of nowhere, "Hey stranger. I miss you." Remember when if this is someone who already showed you who they are, who already wasted your time or hurt you, responding is not kindness. Responding is self-betrayal. Ignoring here is not cruelty, it's self-respect. You do not owe closure, conversation, or access to someone who already spent their chance. They are now outer circle. 4. The friend who only contacts you for favors. You know the pattern. They show up only when they need something. When you need support, they disappear. Your old self replies instantly, helps, then feels resentful. Your new strategy, delay and distance. You don't have to explode. You simply respond late. Keep answers short. Say, "I can't this time," without explanation. Gradually stop engaging. This is a softer version of ignoring, but it's still withdrawing attention and access. You're retraining the dynamic. Now, to help you decide when to ignore and when to respond, use this 3-question filter before replying to anyone. Will this matter in 6 months? Is this person important to my life or mission? Will responding actually improve the situation? Or is it just feeding drama? If the answer is no to at least 2 of these, your default move is ignore. This does something powerful to your psyche. Instead of being pulled by emotions, you become guided by criteria. You turn from emotional puppet to strategic player. But let's also be clear, you should not ignore everything. You do not ignore constructive criticism from people who want you to grow. You do not ignore serious issues in close relationships. You communicate at least once, clearly. You do not ignore responsibilities and then call it setting boundaries. The art here is selectivity. Machiavelli never said attack everyone. He said choose battles wisely, based on outcomes, not emotions. You're applying the same logic to your attention. So here's a practical exercise before we move to deeper dark psychology in the next segment. Tonight, take a piece of paper. Divide it into 2 lists, people and situations I will answer. People and situations I will ignore. Be brutally honest. That one person who only messages you to complain? Outer circle. That anonymous account arguing under your post? Outer circle. That coworker constantly trying to drag you into gossip? Outer circle. Once you see it in writing, you'll understand something. You're not cold. You're curating your reality. In the next segment, we go darker. We'll look at people who hate being ignored, narcissists, manipulators, people who test your boundaries, and how to use silent non-reaction as a shield against them, Machiavelli style. Some people don't just enjoy your attention, they feed on it. Without your emotional reaction, they feel empty, powerless, invisible. These are the types Machiavelli would have watched very closely. Narcissists, chronic victims, drama addicts, guilt trippers, emotional blackmailers. Understanding them is part of dark psychology. It doesn't mean becoming like them. It means seeing the game clearly so you stop being the toy. Here's the secret. Most manipulators don't actually need to control reality. They just need to control your emotion. Once they can make you angry, desperate, guilty, or obsessed, they win. Your anger equals their fuel. Your long explanation equals their validation. Your desperate texts equals their proof they still own you. That's why ignoring them, and doing it calmly, is one of the only things that truly disturbs them. Psychologically, manipulators rely on reinforcement. If they can do something that gets a reaction, whether positive or negative, your reaction rewards their behavior. That's why they repeat it. Example: they pull away slightly, you chase, they learn. If I disappear, you come running. They give you the silent treatment, you apologize for things you didn't do, they learn. If I punish you with silence, I get control. They insult you subtly, you defend, argue, cry, they learn. If I poke your insecurity, you dance. Your job is to break the pattern. One powerful concept here is known in psychology as gray rock. It means becoming as emotionally interesting as a rock. Not exploding. Not crying. Not begging. Just flat. Boring. Unreactive. Used ethically, gray rock is a way to protect yourself from people who will not respect direct communication. When you've tried talking, setting boundaries, explaining, and they only twist your words, you stop feeding them emotion. You respond with short phrases, neutral tone, no personal details, no emotional disclosure. Example: manipulator: wow, you're really selfish now. You don't even care about me anymore. Old you: what are you talking about? I've always been there for you, you just don't see it. Long explanation. New you: I disagree. Silence. They throw: so you're just going to ignore me now? That's how little I mean to you. Old you: panics, explains, apologizes. New you: I'm not having this conversation again. No more replies. Notice, you're not screaming, you're not insulting, you're not attacking. You are withdrawing the prize, your emotional involvement. Machiavelli would say, never do an enemy a small injury. Translated to psychology, don't give manipulators half reactions. Either you engage strategically, or you disengage completely. But we have to address something. The silent treatment is also a weapon they use. Unethical ignoring is when someone refuses to communicate what's wrong, uses silence to punish and control, disappears whenever they don't get their way. That is abuse. That is not what we are learning here. The difference is intent and clarity. Toxic ignoring: you withhold communication to punish, confuse, and keep someone walking on eggshells. Strategic ignoring: you protect yourself when someone has shown they will not listen, respect, or communicate honestly. When someone has crossed that line repeatedly, constant disrespect, constant lying, constant manipulation, you owe them nothing. Not a last message. Not a 5-page essay. Not a goodbye call. You owe them distance. Sometimes, the most Machiavellian move is to let their own behavior be the last word. Here's a 4-step process to use this power ethically. Identify the pattern. Notice if this person repeatedly twists your words, blames you for everything, uses guilt, after all I've done for you, punishes you when you set boundaries, communicate once, clearly, say something like, I don't accept being spoken to like that. If this continues, I will step away from this relationship. Observe their response. If they mock, ignore, or punish you for setting that line, you now have evidence. They're not interested in a healthy dynamic. Withdraw access. You. Stop answering emotional bait, stop justifying yourself, stop over-explaining, reduce or cut contact. Depending on the severity, your silence now is no longer a game, it is a boundary. Understand this. To a manipulator, your silence is terrifying. It means their usual buttons don't work. Their control over your emotions is gone. Their tricks are being seen and losing power. They may escalate. They may try harder. More guilt. More drama. More begging. More anger. But the moment you go back to over-explaining and defending, the spell is broken and you are back under their control. So you keep your frame. Calm. Firm. Minimal. Or none at all. In the next segment, we move from the defensive to the strategic. You'll see how the art of ignoring shapes status, attraction, social dynamics, and even negotiations, and how Machiavelli's obsession with appearances plays directly into this quiet, ruthless power. You cannot ignore people effectively if you cannot ignore your own urges. The urge to respond instantly. The urge to defend yourself. The urge to be liked by everyone. The urge to fix how others see you. Machiavelli wrote about controlling appearances, but underneath that is a deeper principle: self-mastery. A ruler who can't master his impulses is a weak ruler, no matter how big his army is. In your life, you are the ruler of one kingdom, your mind. If you can't say no to your own emotional reactivity, you will never truly say no to anyone else. So let's talk about how to train this. 1. Separate feeling from reaction. You are allowed to feel everything. The discipline is in what you show and what you feed. You can feel hurt, but choose not to send the angry paragraph. You can feel disrespected, but choose not to explode publicly. You can feel triggered, but choose to sit with it instead of instantly reacting. New rule: just because you feel it doesn't mean you must express it. Try this micro-practice. When you get a message that upsets you, do not respond for 1 hour. Put your phone away. Walk, breathe. Write your unfiltered response in a private note if you have to. After 1 hour, ask, does this still deserve my energy? Half of the battles you were about to fight will vanish by themselves. 2. Build an inner world more interesting than drama. Empty people need drama, constant texting, constant stimulation. If your life has no purpose, of course any message feels like a major event. To become good at ignoring, you need something bigger to focus on: a mission, a project, training, learning, building, improving a skill you're obsessed with mastering. When you truly care about your future, random noise loses power over you. You ignore not because you're trying to be cold, but because your attention is already claimed by something far more important. 3. The ethics of ignoring. 4 rules to avoid becoming the villain. Keep these 4 rules. Safety first. If you're in a genuinely abusive or dangerous situation, ignoring alone is not enough. Get support, document, protect yourself. Sometimes the safest move is not just ignoring but physically leaving. Clarity before distance. In close relationships, family, partners, real friends, try to communicate at least once: I can't continue like this. This behavior is not okay with me. Then, if nothing changes, you can step back. Ignoring without warning is often confusion, not growth. Proportionality. Don't nuke people emotionally for small mistakes. Not every disagreement deserves total silence. Save full withdrawal for repeated disrespect and clear patterns. Self-responsibility. Don't use boundaries as an excuse to run away from hard but necessary conversations. Sometimes facing an issue directly is more powerful than disappearing. 4. Training exercises. Becoming unreachable to the wrong people. Here are some practical challenges. Notification fast. Turn off non-essential notifications for 7 days. You decide when to look, not your phone. Notice how your anxiety rises and then drops. Response delay rule. For anyone outside your inner circle, you never respond instantly. Minimum 30 minutes. This breaks the habit of impulsive answering. Drama blacklist. For 30 days, do not join any gossip, argue in comments, send long emotional texts in reaction to something. If it's drama, dead it. 1 hard cut. Identify one person or source that consistently drains you: a page, a chat, a person. Muted, blocked, or put on no reply mode. Nothing dramatic, just quiet disconnection. As you do this, something changes. You realize how much of your life was being controlled by other people's moods, words, and games. And you start to feel something new: space. Space to think. Space to create. Space to feel your own emotions without constant external noise. 5. Final summary. Let's tie everything together. Ignoring is powerful because attention is currency. Withholding it starves manipulation and feeds your own focus. Strategic ignoring is not cruelty. It is boundary, protection, and self-respect. With manipulators, silence and non-reaction are often the only language they truly understand. In social dynamics, limited responses and controlled access signal high value and inner stability. True mastery of ignoring begins inside, controlling your impulses, building a purposeful life, and choosing carefully who gets access to your thoughts and emotions. Machiavelli studied princes and power. You are not ruling a kingdom, but you are ruling your time, your mind, your energy. Every reaction you give is a piece of your kingdom that you hand away. From today on, let fewer people have that privilege. If this video helped you see the art of ignoring people in a new way, don't ignore this moment. Hit that like button so more people can find it. Share this with someone who keeps wasting their energy on the wrong people. and subscribe to the channel if you want more deep dives into power, psychology, and self-mastery. Turn on notifications so you never miss a new upload. And then, of course, feel free to ignore everything that doesn't serve your growth. If you watch any social hierarchy, school, workplace, friend groups, parties, online communities, one pattern appears again and again. The people who seem the most in demand often give the least reaction. The leader doesn't respond instantly to every message. The high-status person doesn't argue with every critic. The truly confident person doesn't chase every invitation or every compliment. This isn't always conscious, but it sends a Machiavellian signal. My attention is scarce. I am busy with my own world. Scarcity increases value. When you are hard to reach, your attention becomes something people want to earn. But here's the key. If you fake this without any inner foundation, you just become another try-hard game player. True power comes from actually having something more important than other people's constant demands. Machiavelli understood this in politics. Appearance is everything. In modern life, how and when you respond is part of your appearance. Let's break this down into 3 areas. 1. In groups and social circles, watch how groups behave. Someone constantly tries to impress everyone, laughs too loudly, reacts to everything. They rarely hold true power. Someone calmer, selective, not always available. People lean in when they speak. You can use the art of ignoring here by not jumping into every argument, not responding to every joke at your expense, not always being the one to initiate contact or plans. Example, in a group chat, people are spamming memes, gossip, nonsense. You don't need to respond to everything to stay included. You respond when there's something aligned with you, or when your input will actually matter. Over time, people stop expecting you to be constantly available. Your occasional responses become more valued because they are less frequent and more intentional. 2. Attraction and dating. This is where dark psychology can easily become toxic if you're not careful. But strategically, it's true. People often value what they can't easily have. If you drop everything for someone, reply instantly, overshare, overtext, chase them when they pull back, you signal, I have nothing more important than you. Most people subconsciously lose respect for that. On the other hand, when you take your time to respond, don't react to every test or provocation, don't beg for validation, can walk away from disrespect, you signal inner value. You're not playing hard to get as a trick. You are hard to get because you have standards and a life. But understand this. Manipulative pickup strategies that tell you to ignore people just to make them insecure are weak. That's not Machiavellian intelligence. That's emotional immaturity. Ethical ignoring in attraction looks like not responding to mixed signals, games, or disrespect. Not chasing someone who is clearly not investing in you. Not explaining your worth to someone who refuses to see it. You're not punishing. You are simply removing yourself from a rigged game. 3. Negotiations and power plays. Ignoring is a brutal weapon in negotiations and conflicts. Someone tries to rush you into a decision. You slow down. Someone pressures you with, we need an answer right now. You reply, I'll get back to you, and take your time. Someone throws a cheap shot in an argument. You ignore the insult and only address the point that matters. Silence creates pressure. People feel uncomfortable in a void, so they rush to fill it, often revealing more than they meant to, or giving up more than they intended. For example, if someone throws an unfair offer at you and then waits, you don't nervously start justifying why you need more. You let silence hang. You look at them. You breathe. That silence makes them uncomfortable. Often they will speak first. Okay, we can go a bit higher. You're ignoring their attempt to rush or lowball you just made you more powerful. Machiavelli was obsessed with the idea that rulers must appear in control at all times. Losing your temper in front of others, reacting emotionally, chasing validation, all of these destroy that image. So, in social settings, when someone tries to embarrass you with a joke, you can ignore it, stay calm, and let the awkwardness bounce back onto them. When someone is clearly trying to provoke you, an eye contact, a half smile, and silence can say louder than words, you do not move me. The highest form of ignoring is not blocking people. It's becoming so internally stable that nothing external can easily hijack your focus. And this brings us to the final segment, the inner work. Because you can't master the art of ignoring outside if you're still a slave to everything happening inside.